Welcome to The Good Work, a podcast and video series that follows The Event Company, an event design company that specializes in corporate, nonprofit, and social events. Our passion lies in creating one-of-a-kind events that share the good work of organizations we are fortunate to collaborate with. Tune in for conversations with leaders of these great groups, our best advice for your next event, and some behind-the-scenes moments. Now, let us show you the good work.
With the beginning of a new year upon us, we can't help but get excited about the trends that will make an impact on events in 2019. In this episode of The Good Work, the women at the event company will discuss the event trends you can expect and the ones we hope to see in the new year. From corporate events to social gatherings to fundraisers, we'll cover it all. Please welcome to today's podcast, Addie, Callie, and Sarah.
Hello, you two.
Hi. How's it going?
Happy day. It's Vodcast Day.
So exciting. This is one of my favorite days.
I know. I kind of sang a little bit there. I don't know if you gathered that. I was an honors choir person back in high school.
Yeah, so was
I. No response back.
So was I, but I was a pretty small school, so I don't know if that really says much.
No. Do you remember? I told you this before. Drew says that. He goes, yeah, you were an honors choir because they didn't have anybody else to pick from. Yeah. Because there was 42 of you in your graduating class, so slim pickings. That's
Mine was less than that, so.
Look at us. My little guy this year got a clarinet for Christmas. Calvin did. So he's so anxious. He told Callie yesterday on the phone that he's so anxious to learn, and he asked her if she can help him play the clarinet.
And I was like, I was a drummer, so I have no help in the clarinet area, but I could help you read music, but other than that.
He's so excited.
You're going to wish he didn't have
that.
that.
You might wish at some point that a little squeaky in the house maybe, but.
We'll see what it's like, but. Today we're talking about trends. So clarinets, maybe they're making its way back.
Maybe they are. Maybe we should try to figure out a way to.
Did you play any instruments?
No.
You're pretty trendy and hip and happening.
Yeah, I am.
And you're not a singer?
No, God, no.
Not a singer, no instruments. You look trendy today, if that's
Thanks.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
You're
Thank
perfect
you.
for today's vodcast topic. So we're talking about trends. As Callie mentioned, we're talking about things on the corporate side of things, social events, nonprofit events, really everything under the sun when it comes to trends. And not just things that we feel is up and coming, but things maybe that should not be a trend. I think we're going to talk about those things. But then also things to watch out for, right? Because I think we do a really good job of trying to stay up to date on what's happening and when things are out, and maybe even some of the things that we stock or that we design can be trends, which is kind of fun. And it's fun to be watched, right? To see kind of what you're choosing. And my favorite thing in regards to design and all those things is the color of the year. Do you guys ever follow that?
No.
Yeah, there's usually Pantone chooses a color of the year, and I hate to even sound silly, but I didn't even look yet what the color of the year is. I mean, we're only 3 weeks into the year, but in the past, it's been like Merlot was the color of the year. They've had jade as the color of the year.
Ooh.
So they always choose these colors of the year. And usually a lot of weddings, and we don't really do too many weddings, but a lot of social events choose kind of their color palette around what that color of the year is. So
I didn't even know about that. Now I do want to know what it is, though.
yeah, we'll put it in the comments.
Okay.
We'll get schooled on the trends. But let's start by talking about trends in the corporate sector. What are some of your favorite trends that we've done over the last few years? Or favorite things in terms of design that are now trends, I should say.
Yeah. I think just with how we are kind of at in society too and how everything's changing, but digitally, like technology is becoming a huge part, especially of corporate
events. I agree.
You know, we're seeing things move forward more towards having apps.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? We're on our phones all the time. Yeah. And you would think that a lot of events would do apps, and some do, but it's an investment, of course, you know, and sometimes you can get one-offs where you're just plugging everything in and it may not be branded as your event. And sometimes it can be, just depends on what price point that you're coming in at. But yeah, event apps and event registration.
Yes, guest registration is another area where I think we've definitely started to see it. And I think some of our clients are also trying to move that way too, of how we can do it best and most efficiently digitally, just because the days of pen and paper are just they're moving past us.
Sarah, I hate to tell you, Sarah, but your Sharpie markers and your blank name tags
That's fine.
maybe going away.
No more hand cramps.
No, but isn't it? I mean, it's absolutely true. We just finished up a trade show last month, actually. And it's funny when you have all these people come in and you're handwriting, right? Their names in there. Not only does it make them maybe not feel as special, but it's also time consuming, a lot of resources, and it just doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
As
Well,
the
and it can be
digital
hard
pieces.
to read too if you're like Billy Joe and it's just all scribbles. So it's so much nicer just to have it all printed.
I agree.
And ready to go for you.
Yeah, and it makes that registration process feel better too, because that's really your first impression.
Oh, yeah.
And even when you talk about the app, Callie, that can go well before the event happens itself. We've had the pleasure of working with organizations, some nonprofit, some corporate, on their app side of things. And you hear me geek out about this. We just were talking about this recently. I love event apps, and I love building that piece of it. Now, I'm not a coder by any means, so please, Will Bushy, do not call me to like teach any of your code camp schools, but I love that backend because you're literally building it from scratch, right? And you build it to the specs of whatever makes sense for that group. What if you don't have breakout sessions? You don't want some app that already has these built-in parts that say you have breakout sessions and there's nothing in there. Then it makes you look like you don't have your stuff all together. But yeah, I think apps are really the way to go.
I mean, even things are moving more towards, like, you hear stories, or I've seen a few, or we even kind of experienced it, like facial recognition at guest registration. That's how, like, far forward things are kind of moving along. And I mean, even if you break it down to like AV side of things, like we love video panels right now. It's kind of our thing that we're kind of moving towards with a lot of our clients, and the game there is changing too. So I think technology is just a thing that's moving.
People
quickly.
want to be wowed when they come to events.
Yes.
And they want to feel special, right? And will you talk a little bit more about the facial recognition thing? I mean, I'm a big fan of it as well. Not a lot of people in this market do it, but we have implemented it at other events, or we're in the process of, I should say.
Yep.
But you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like and how and where it pulls your face from?
Yeah.
Really?
So you would, in essence, sign up digitally on the registration site, and you would input all your information, but include there as well would be a picture. So then when you get to the event, you would walk up to the registration table, and a lot of times now they're not even tables.
Right.
They're little
Kiosks.
just kiosks. Yeah. And so it just has like an iPad probably right there in front of you. It has a little camera, and then you just literally walk up and stand in front of it, and it'll face point or touch point all your face, and it'll recognize you, and it'll know, oh, Callie's checking in, and it'll print off your name badge for you right there on site.
It's so awesome. And it can pull it from a lot of different sources. I think you most of the time you can choose, like, if you want it to pull from Facebook or LinkedIn, which it's kind of
so you
nice.
wouldn't have to input your own, but you could just link it up too.
And it's, I mean, it's nice because, I mean, Facebook does it now, right? Where it recognizes, oh, this is Sarah Roseland, tag her in your photo. So it's nice at guest check-in. Of course, there's investments that come along with it, but it all depends on your guest experience. And I would anticipate this market will start seeing more of those kiosks around, just because it's, I don't know, it's top of mind, but it also creates that really killer guest experience like you're talking about, which is so nice. But until then, we will still print out name badge stickers.
We will.
Sarah
We'll try
Roseland.
to be creative in those senses, you know? Like, well,
yeah, there's still awesome ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go as simply as customizing them, not only with the design, so you're not just having the Avery label.
Right.
Nothing against Avery. We love Avery.
Oh, yeah.
But you're customizing them to the design and the brand of the event. And if you have the opportunity to capture their name, what their name is.
or even
Company.
like if we've taught a few conferences of where you assign someone a schedule, basically, because there'd be so many sessions, and maybe this person, because they're a marketing part of the marketing sector, they're only going to go to this breakout session, and someone maybe more in sales is going to go to this one, and you can break it down and print their exact schedule for them on their name badge as well. So those are things that the smaller touches that we're trying to move towards as well. So
Another trend is VIP experiences and how to really wow your guest while they're there at the event, right? And maybe even off-site prior to getting there. Sarah is working on an event right now with a local group on possibly breaking a world record. We don't need to tell everybody what it is yet, but talk about a guest experience. You want to share a little bit about how you've kind of
your research
researched.
behind it. It's super interesting.
Yeah, so it's
She's
actually a
thumbed
lot
through
of work.
900 pages of the Guinness of the world record.
Yeah, on the Google at the bottom of the page it goes Google. I was probably on the L. Yeah, so it's a lot of work because a lot of records are up in the thousands or tens of thousands of people. So to find one that has like 300 people, that was kind of difficult. But it's fun because there's just the strangest records these days.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
We could probably create one right now.
Maybe.
I don't know if there's one for 3 people.
Yeah.
But some of the ones that haven't been broken yet, like that's kind of to the point we're kind of out of, where there's ones that they want to break, but they haven't had anyone break yet. So that might be the area we kind of go, well, trends, start the trend of this world record.
And I also think one big trend, and I mean, we've talked about this for a couple of years, but now I think people are starting to implement it more, is what are those experiences that happen prior to getting there, right? Whether it's as simple as little gift boxes in their room, whether you're mailing them things to their home ahead of time. Sarah, I know you just did these things where we just got the picture from our client yesterday, actually, that boxes were shipped to these people. And that's an experience, right? Do you want to share a little bit about what those looked like?
Yeah, so they were so cute. They were plant-a-tree kits. So we gave them seeds and a little dish to grow and this dirt that like blew up into like this big pot of dirt, which is cool.
Yeah.
And so we wanted people to share after they planted those trees with us. And in those pictures, they had like 16 little trees popping out of the pot.
It's like 16
There might be some relocating here soon, but
Colorado blue spruces.
Yeah,
that
but
are
it was really
growing
cool
wild.
to see all the employees work together and do that.
Yeah. And now that what they're wanting to do to create that engagement prior to the event, I mean, this event isn't until the end of April. So we've got a few more months down the road, but what they're wanting to do is to create hashtags surrounding that and for people to post those pictures internally throughout the company. So those are the cool things that happen in the VIP experiences ahead of time. It's really making sure that your guests are not just walking in, getting their piece of paper out, their journal out, sitting down, being talked to, and then they're out the door, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you say we're trying to see more of those VIP pieces.
Correct.
And you do not have to break the bank when you're doing VIP experiences at all. Like those little tree kits cost so little.
Yeah, they're like $10 a box, which is awesome. And you can do that for just about anything.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. What else do you see is happening now for trends, Callie?
One other kind of thing to stay on the conference side of things is a lot of times people are trying to include other outside activities into the conference as well. I actually saw a term for this the other day called leisure.
Yeah.
Like business leisure. So how can you, maybe if you're going, just because we'll do this, we're going to Chicago. So maybe we can get them a ticket to a Cubs game. Something that's outside a conference, but something that they could go do, or maybe tickets to a show or a special like outing to a certain park or something,
Right.
Things that can entice them to either spend some more time, but still like be involved, but yet it might be something on their own that they've wanted to do. Or maybe my mom has done this a few times before. She's gone on a trip and just extended the trip a couple days and brought my dad.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We're
working on an event in Chicago here this year, and I think even extending that trip, we've talked about that. If guests want to extend their trip, why not? It's kind of nice for if spouses are there or spouses fly in the last day of the conference and are a part of it. But the leisure piece of it is big, and it's getting even bigger because guests want to feel like you've truly thought of everything for them. And when you're talking about like the Cubs tickets or whatever it happens to be, or even Stampede, you don't have to be paying for those tickets. It's just having them available for them, which is really, really
just
nice.
To know that you thought of, you're going to have some downtime.
Right.
If you want to, like, I'm a kind of a busy person, I like to stay busy.
Right.
So I'd love to walk in and see that, they had something else kind of planned that I could go do.
Yeah.
And it's nice to walk into your hotel room and think, I have this I could do this day, or in my off time I have this. I can stop by the mall. Or
Yeah, you're so right, Sarah. I think it's nice that you've thought of those different things, but having that access available to them, because when you're coming into the market, you may not, you can Yelp and try to find different things that are happening, or like you and I are big Orange Theory fans. Like when we go into different cities, like where's our nearest Orange Theory? We're looking it up on our own. But what if it was available to us ahead of time? And that info could either be on your intranet for your company, for your guest, on your website.
Yeah.
It could be in the app, whatever it looks like. But I think it's nice.
And we've done that for people here. We had a group that most of their employees or groups, it was a franchise actually, so they had never really been to Sioux Falls.
Right.
So we gave them a listing of restaurants to try. We did all of our local downtown just because that's what we're always going to try to support.
We did a brew tour, right?
We did brew stops if they wanted to go, some local shopping things, art types of things, and then outdoors activities like local parks, and linked them all to maps that they could find for those things, just as an extra touch for if they wanted. So that's always something to keep in mind as well, I think.
Another trend that I'm seeing happen more at events as well, we're still on the corporate piece of it. You could incorporate this into social because we've got a couple socials as well, but is the mind, body, wellness, right? And mind, body, soul. And we've got some events. Sarah, you might be able to talk a little bit about, First Make and Trust talked about it a few months ago, was our Sip Sip Namaste. That is where they incorporated it, but we're starting to see that now more too, where events are saying, come play volleyball with us before we get started. Come on a group run. There's all these different things that are happening, and you're just giving them access to be able to do them, whether it's yoga mats in there or whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
I wish every corporate event would implement a nap time.
But you do see it a little bit like meditation. Awesome. Not saying meditation is a nap. I'm not saying that. But, I think we did a LeaderCast of where we just had like meditation, like mindful, like 5 minutes.
Right.
Just a little downtime, a little break. Right. And that was that. So, but I also think kind of connecting with that is another thing, like corporate side as well, is our generation, I feel like especially, likes the social responsibility part of things. So how can you incorporate that into maybe a conference? Maybe it's asking them to bring something for a local charity or toys for kids.
Elaborate more on that a little bit. What do you mean when you talk about social responsibility?
Well, I think I enjoy working and doing business or whatever I purchase for companies that have that social responsibility aspect of how do they give back.
Like Tom's.
Correct. Yeah. Or like Patagonia gives so much back for environment. I love that. So how can groups here do that as well? Giving back to local charities or saying that they're going to do this to be mindful of this. And I think that goes a long way to know that you're thinking of the larger whole as well.
Yeah.
And I think that touch is nice.
So more on the social side of things, I know I just mentioned the Namaste, the Sip Sip Namaste event. Do you want to talk about how guests reacted in that instance? Because people knew ahead of time what they were signing up for, obviously. But how kind of the guest reaction from that event?
Yeah, so I think people were a little bit shy at first, but once they got out of their comfort zone and actually enjoyed the yoga and took those tools that they learned and implemented them into their own lives at home, I think that's well worth doing.
Yeah.
That may be uncomfortable part at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, it's nice because that's the gift that keeps on giving. I hate to be cliche about that, but those experiences, VIP pieces, implementing nap time, whatever it happens to be, are things that people remember, right?
Yeah.
It's not always about the coffee cup or the koozie that you get at these events. It's about those experiences. And I know that's such a cliche word and it's a hot button right now and a hot word that people are using a lot, but it is truly what it is. It's creating the not only the environment, but what goes along with that. That keeps the chatter kind of happening well beyond the event itself.
Right. And I think a trend that we're seeing now is the engagement spaces.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I love this word. I love being able to implement them. We've had them at different events before where you're kind of creating these pockets for people to just chill and be a part of, but also engage. So when Sarah talks about engagement spaces, whether they are maybe doing, they're all sitting at the lounge area together and just chatting it up. Or maybe they are doing bean bags or whatever. Maybe they're laying out the yoga mats itself. Candy stations, snack stations. We did a milk and cookies bar once at an event. It's making sure that those engagement spaces are outside of the space, outside of the event itself, and where people can just be, right? Isn't that how you would kind of explain them a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. And I think some part of it is too is engaging, but like we say lounge, but also give them something to do maybe too. Right. But also, I think clients or businesses can be mindful of thinking, well, how am I going to see this value or the worth?
Right.
But you can have maybe your own play that you can create content that you can use later.
Right.
One of those ideas for engagement spaces I like is to maybe pose a couple questions to attendees and they can write them on sticky notes or on little cards and post them themselves on a board. You can collect that content and use that in marketing or anything that you want for a year to come, And
you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it, but it's what you get out of it. Because I wouldn't suggest doing an engagement space to just do it.
No.
to just fill up space and like, what can we do with this little area? It needs to be purposeful.
And leading into the next point then also is you can create a sponsorship that would supplement the funds for that.
Yeah.
We talk about sponsorship collaboration almost, of where you're connecting as sponsors to a sponsorship that makes sense for their mission too, not only your own.
Yeah.
So for us, it makes sense when we maybe have our technology sponsors or mobile giving to have connect with a bank on that first to connect with their like mobile banking or their tech side of things. Or a dessert sponsor. It would make sense if you know a restaurant or a bakery that is willing to donate. Why would you not connect them with that?
That's like that milk and cookies bar that I had mentioned. Like we had a local dairy organization sponsor that piece of it. And it was so awesome. I mean, people are like, oh, milk and cookies. But it was super innovative and different because you don't see it out. First of all, you can't leave milk out for hours, because that's not really good. But also you had different kinds of cookies there and different flavors of milk. And so, I mean, it's just being different and unique with it because as adults, we still have that childish piece inside of us, right?
We do, yeah.
We all like candy. Well, most people like candy. So put up the candy station. And I'm not talking about the old school, like, and I don't mean old school, but weddings still do those candy buffets or whatever you call them. But there are some really cool acrylic, like true dispensers where the Skittles all come out. Like we've all seen them, right? The Jelly Belly machines and
it's
dispensers.
like a modern gumball machine.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, it's just being different in that respect, but also, just trying to be different and
being mindful on
fun.
that when you are writing up your sponsorships. So thinking things that are unique, but thinking of the connections you have. How can we almost make your sponsorships for businesses versus you making them for yourself and trying to find someone to fill it?
Yeah.
Flip the kind of that sentence a little
super
bit
smart.
and try to
super smart.
and try to think of it that way.
What about on the social side? We talked a lot about corporate, nonprofit side. What about the social piece of it and themes of social events?
We were kind of talking about this yesterday that we feel like themes are kind of coming back. I feel like for a while there,
Are you talking like 80s
mute.
prom?
Well, no, not probably
That's
that
never
far.
gone away, people.
No, but I feel like we are kind of back to the, and I'm not going to say cheesy themes, but people are like, let's have a themed party.
Right.
It used to be kind of like, well, let's just kind of throw something together and just do a color or something. But now it's like, let's do themes. Let's go all out. Let's do it all.
I agree. I think social events also, they want to not only the experience piece of it, but they want it to be memorable. And that's where those themes can be memorable. And it doesn't have to be, when we talk about themes, it doesn't have to be like everybody dress up in their prom dresses or whatever else. But we've got this idea that we're kind of floating around with a group dealing with salsa, right? And whether it comes to fruition, we don't know, yes or no, but it's super themed out from the decor, from when they first walk in to the invitations to all those pieces. But it's super themed in that respect.
Yeah. And I think that gets people excited to come to the event. So maybe your attendance is better that way versus just another party that they get invited to.
Vague. They have no idea.
The days of the wine and happy hour social things or the wine tasting things, I'm not saying they're going away, but they're tailored so differently now.
Right.
I've been doing events for over 15 years and I remember getting my first invite to a wine deal. It was in where Trey is. Well, now it's Trey again, I guess. But it was right down in the basement area. I was super nervous because you had all these glasses, right? And it was on this piece of paper and you put your glasses out. And I remember, gosh, I was not only nervous, but I had no idea. And I don't know about the swirling and the palate cleansers and all. Do you know what I mean? But that is, it's not, I'm not saying it's done, but it's pretty overdone.
Yeah.
There are really awesome ways to be able to experience wine and to taste new flavors. Do it near the fireplace with 7 people, like create your own special environment and theme it up and have different cheeses or do a chocolate and wine tasting. There's just thinking outside of the box of what those social events can be.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And we've talked a little bit about the experience piece on social events. And I think those pieces can kind of float back and forth. Wouldn't you agree? Between the corporate and the nonprofit sector from the social. We literally just talked about this minutes ago. Like you don't... social events don't always have to give gifts to people.
No.
Right?
Sometimes that event or experience is
the gift. Right. And I love party favors. Don't get me wrong. Like I love taking gifts. I use my Hungry for Truth charcuterie board and my knife set all the time. And I love them. Like we do a lot. We've talked a lot about that. But it's not necessary. It's a beautiful gift. And Hungry for Truth, I would gladly take any of those things off your hands. But it's not necessary. The event itself and the experience that they are a part of really could be the gift in itself.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of these things that we talked about, we kind of said corporate, they can be moved around to social. I don't think technology is only for corporate. That's
No, not at all.
social things, or if you have speakers at both, like seeing those speakers can that kind of trend of how speakers are kind of changing a little bit as well, of being more interactive, being more breakout sessions, smaller group space. That's both social and corporate. That's not so.
I want to hear from both of you before we wrap today. What trends do you want to see gone?
Ooh, burlap.
Yeah, I was thinking some of the little bit more rusted, like mason jars. I could be out. Sorry.
I knew it. And I also want to see go away where it has to be all gold or all silver. Mix your
them.
metals. Mix the metals, people. Mix it like DJs mixing it up. I mean, get your golds and your rose golds and your silvers and every other metal bronzes. Mix them up together. There's no one right way to do it. But I would say, mason jars, ta-ta.
See you later.
Yeah.
And
rustic.
burlap.
Rustic.
Come on.
Look at you. You're like,
we don't need it.
We don't need it.
We are done. Well, I think would be fun to circle back on these trends here at the end of the year, maybe November-ish. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun.
Just to see how on point you are with your candy Skittle station. Whatever.
I think it will be.
Whatever it looks like.
I think we'll see it happen.
My exciting thing to see this year, especially in this market, would be to see how far we can push the envelope in terms of guest check-in. I think that would be my big thing this year, and the engagement spaces. But
I think so too. And I'm excited to see what the year has for us.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Good Work. We are looking forward to building dreams in 2019 and staying on top of all of the trends. Tune in next week as we are joined by Natalie Eisenberg, the CEO at ClickGrain, to talk all about the good work they are a part of. Don't forget to subscribe to The Good Work on YouTube and iTunes, and follow the event company on social media to stay up to date on the good work we are part of each day.